On the horizon of astrological events unfolds an exciting picture that portends radical changes in the life of the representatives of the sign of Pisces. There comes a moment, which was waited for, perhaps, a lifetime, when fate makes a sharp turn, opening new horizons and opportunities. This is not a mere coincidence, but the result of the long movement of the sun, which over the past 60 years has changed the usual framework and boundaries. In the astrological game enters the 13th sign of the zodiac, Serpentine, whose attributes can destroy the old shell of Pisces, endowing them with unique qualities. Some will awaken incredible intuition, others will sharpen their existing intuition, open the way to resounding success, and will appear energy shield that protects against alien manipulation. It is not just about improving the current state of affairs, but about getting the keys to a whole new life, where there will be no more room for poverty, loneliness, and endless doubts. Pay special attention to the full moon in Sagittarius on June 11th. This is not just an astronomical phenomenon, but a moment when inner shackles will be thrown off, opening the way to change. Pisces, known for their depth and emotionality, will plunge into uncharted depths they were previously afraid to even look into. The third house activates personal motivation, but now it happens not on the background of dreamy longing, but with a new energy and thirst to understand themselves and the world around them, to break free from the captivity of illusions. Past sentimentality is a thing of the past, giving way to determination and desire for action. What awaits Pisces ahead? What secrets will be revealed to them in these new depths? The answers to these questions will be known very soon. Representatives of the sign of Pisces, previously known for their willingness to come to the aid of everyone, suddenly realize the need for change. Enough to be comfortable, it's time to live life to the full. Fate is favorable, allowing them to free themselves from the burden of the past years. The sensitivity inherent in this sign now serves their interests, not the other way around. Those around them will be amazed at the metamorphosis that has occurred with those who were considered malleable and driven. In them awakens irrepressible desire for action, instincts are sharpened. There is a thirst for true meaning, not ephemeral illusions. The desire to understand others gives way to the desire to know themselves. For the first time in a long time, Pisces refuses to go with the flow, which is certainly a shock to those accustomed to their previous behavior. On June 18, when Jupiter squares Neptune, the energies of Pisces are joined by the energies of the Serpentine, marking a period of karma cleansing. The first house of the horoscope, responsible for personality, becomes the arena where all the factors that undermine self-esteem come to the surface. Fears, like malicious programs, must be removed. Pisces, with increased empathy, often painfully perceive other people's emotions and their own failures. For years they may have been haunted by a sense of missed opportunities and unrealized potential. But now all of that is coming to an end. They realize that they no longer expect trouble, succumb to fears, or seek to save others. Awakening brings with it a new perception of the world. The streets seem brighter, people seem friendlier. There is calmness inside and, perhaps for the first time in your life, self-confidence. Energy fills the body, reflected in gestures and gaze. The desire to hide disappears, giving way to the desire for renewal. Change your hairstyle, update your closet, please yourself with pleasant little things. The morning begins not with a heavy feeling, but with a positive mood. Changes are noticeable even in the gait. Meeting smiles no longer make you look away. Pisces go out into the light, and this light belongs to them by right. On June 26, Mercury changes its location, moving into the royal sign of Leo, which awakens in Pisces' hitherto hidden instincts of self-defense. There comes a turning point when the representatives of this zodiac sign acquire the ability to say a firm no, refuse to fruitless sacrifices and illusory hopes, stop taking on someone else's problems. The fifth house of the horoscope, responsible for financial well-being, ambitious aspirations and sensual pleasures, now fully at their disposal. Pisces is not only malleability and soft-heartedness, but also the ocean depths in which a powerful inner force matures. With the arrival of the Serpentine, symbolizing transformation and renewal, Pisces discards the habit of settling for little and begins to build a life of their own design. Pisces women are freed from the burden of other people's debts and obligations. If before they fed, supported and covered someone else's weaknesses, now they silently and without explanation leave, which is absolutely the right decision. Respect for them will be determined not by sacrifice, but by the ability to assert personal boundaries. Pisces men stop striving to please everyone and everyone. They realize that the true value lies not in the convenience of others, but in the ability to adhere to the chosen course. Their gentleness turns from weakness into a conscious choice. Respect begins with the first phrase spoken. Financial independence brings long-awaited freedom, the ability to refuse toxic contacts, the right to choose the circle of communication. Money becomes a reliable armor protecting from manipulation. There is an opportunity to buy a ticket to a new life, a change of scenery, to launch a promising project, to close an outdated chapter, in short, to do what your heart desires. Pisces entrepreneurs find themselves on the crest of a wave, options for lucrative deals arise rapidly, old contracts suddenly take on a new life. The key to success is not in passive waiting, but in active action. Salaried workers are getting a chance to move to better paid and more honest jobs, and some are deciding to start their own businesses. Those who are now experiencing financial difficulties need to get rid of the stereotype of poverty. The serpentine erases old scripts, opening the way to prosperity. Poverty will be a thing of the past. On June 28, celestial messenger Mercury forms a harmonious trine with Neptune, Lord of the Seas, sending a fateful signal to Pisces: it's time to cast aside fears and open your hearts to true love. This aspect marks the activation of the seventh house, the sphere of partnership and relationships, through the prism of new, transformative energies of serpentine. Pisces, languishing in doubt for centuries, is gaining the inner strength to voice their needs and desires. They are no longer willing to put up with silence, tolerate neglect, wear themselves out with vain expectations or justify themselves for the sake of someone else's mental comfort. There comes a time when illusory fantasies are replaced by genuine honesty, sincerity, and openness in relationships. Representatives of this water sign, always striving for depth of feeling, for the first time refuse to self-deception and do not agree to superficial connections. They no longer hide behind masks, do not hide their true emotions and do not humiliate themselves in pursuit of fleeting attention. Especially significant changes occur in the consciousness of Pisces women. They are no longer attracted to men who are skillful with words, but disappear at the most important moment. They have learned to recognize lies and falsity, acutely feel insincerity and react not by the old habit, to save and pull, but resolutely and uncompromisingly. Those who do not show proper respect are regretfully cut out of their lives. A new, liberating feeling is born in the Pisces mind: I can choose, not deserve. This marks a radical change in thinking, the acquisition of long-awaited freedom and independence. True intimacy is manifested not only in moments of passionate inspiration, but also in those moments when the partner is ready to support in tears, fatigue and silence. Just such a union, based on mutual love and respect, is now becoming a reality for Pisces, ready to embrace its power and open itself to new possibilities. In June and July, men born under the sign of Pisces find themselves in the epicenter of increased attention, as if swimming in the rays of popularity. New acquaintances arise one after another, the energy beats the key, and natural charm increases, attracting admiring glances. However, here lies the danger: July should not turn into a meaningless kaleidoscope of fleeting pastimes. The more superficial connections, the more bitter will be the disappointment at the end of this period. For Pisces, whose horoscope traces the features of serpentine, the time of aimless connections, about everything and about nothing, irrevocably gone. There comes a moment of truth that requires awareness and depth. Now they need a real connection based on mutual exchange, trust and support. Pisces men need to feel that they are chosen not for their potential benefits, but for the unique essence that lies within them. June and July offer a chance for all Pisces men who are ready to honestly admit to themselves, I'm tired of pretending. Those who are already in a relationship will have the opportunity to have a frank conversation that they have long avoided. Single Pisces will find that they no longer have illusions and are ready for real meetings, deep dialogues and rare in its intensity contacts. They will be tested to see if they are ready to love without giving up or dissolving into a partner, but to remain themselves. June 29, when Mercury is in opposition to Pluto, a turning point occurs. Pisces stops being an unnoticeable background, and everything that used to swarm in their heads, other people's opinions, unfinished conversations, internal contradictions and fears, gradually goes away. In this period, especially activated the 8th house of the horoscope, which indicates the acute need of Pisces in silence. However, this is not an escape from problems, but a necessary adjustment to themselves. Pisces no longer wants to live by other people's rules, schedules and templates. The simple right to close the door, turn off the phone, not answer or explain becomes sacred to them. Those who are constantly in the noise, hustle and bustle of trying to please others can no longer stand it. An almost physical need for solitude and silence arises. Pisces create a space around them, free from the power of other people's opinions. This is not a whim, but a vital healing process. On July 10, when the full moon illuminates the constellation Capricorn, the 12th house of the horoscope is activated, bringing with it the energy of Pisces, symbolizing true freedom. This is not the ephemeral freedom that is extolled in motivational publications, but a deep inner sense of independence. Pisces refuses to follow other people's prescriptions and scripts. Men born under the sign of Pisces have an aversion to imposed obligations, even if they are not personal. If before they showed patience and adapted, now there is a complete break with the past. Protest is expressed quietly but resolutely. Pisces women suddenly realize that many aspects of their lives have been externally imposed. Work, relationships, day-to-day affairs, it all begins to drag if it doesn't match their true desires. A new compass turns on inside them. If it's not mine, they need to leave. Don't get into arguments, don't wait for change, just leave before it's too late. Life is too short to waste it on someone else's goals. Even if those around you don't understand, even if it's scary, there is an unshakable feeling of, I don't have to. This is what true freedom is all about. On July 31, Venus enters Cancer, activating the 9th house of the horoscope. Boundaries that Pisces was previously unable or unwilling to set are now impregnable. Serpentine comes into play, intensifying reactions to any pressure. Those who were previously able to manipulate Pisces through pity, threats, or other techniques are confused. Pisces no longer gives in, but they don't make excuses either. They leave without further words, without explanations, without tantrums, just disappear, because they no longer feel obliged to be convenient for anyone. In an era of change, men show their maturity by moving from idle bickering to decisive action, putting confident points on important issues. Women, driven by the call of the heart, are transformed, becoming true keepers of the hearth, ready to do anything for the chosen one, if he really won their love and trust. Everything else loses importance, as if passing by. Unwanted questions go unanswered, and any pressure is met with a harsh rebuff. There comes a time when the sign of Pisces ceases to put up with the invasion of personal space. Individuality comes to the fore, dictating its own rules of the game. Now representatives of this sign of the zodiac clearly realize what is happening. What was previously hidden by a fog of uncertainty, becomes crystal clear. The appearance of the serpentine in the zodiacal circle not only expands it, but also radically changes the map of the starry sky, blurring the usual boundaries. That is why there is a feeling of time slipping away and of one's own transformation. And the point here is not mysticism, but in the laws of physics governing the movement of the stars, which are increasingly recognized even by astrologers. The dates of the zodiac signs are undergoing changes, and the old framework is losing its relevance. However, you should not be in a hurry to rewrite your life or make hasty decisions. Now the main thing for Pisces is to observe, listen to your feelings and analyze what is happening. It is important to scrutinize every event and every inner change. Reflection becomes the main tool for navigating this new world. In late fall and early winter, there is a turning point when Jupiter will make its transition into the constellation of Serpentine. This astronomical event will be reflected in real life. In June and July, the representatives of the sign of Pisces should be especially cautious in financial matters and business agreements. On June 18, Jupiter makes a hard aspect to Neptune, which, combined with the increasing influence of the first house, creates an atmosphere of inner turmoil. On this day, the probability of making decisions under the influence of illusions rather than common sense increases. Therefore, it is not advisable to sign important documents, invest money, or take loans. There is a high risk of deception, unfavorable conditions, or even self-deception. What seems profitable may turn out to be a financial pit. On June 29, Mercury enters opposition to Pluto, while activating the 8th house. This time is fraught with agreements that could have negative consequences in the future. You should not share your financial resources, involve relatives in business projects, or participate in dubious ventures. Pressure, manipulation, and hidden commitments are possible. There could be behind-the-scenes intrigue at work that could affect your career. You should refrain from discussing financial matters and avoid ranting, as it may have unpleasant consequences. On July 10, the full moon in Capricorn and the activation of the 12th house create preconditions for financial difficulties in everyday life and partnerships. It is not recommended to make large purchases, such as apartments, cars, or household appliances, especially if the decision is made under the influence of stress. Any deal made in a state of emotional tension will cause regret later on. On this day it is especially important for Pisces to avoid making decisions under the influence of emotions, as they will be intensified and logical thinking will be weakened. Internal protest against existing restrictions is possible, but this time is not suitable for decisive actions, but rather for rethinking the situation. During this period of time, people born under the sign of Pisces become particularly susceptible to external influences, as ingrained patterns of behavior such as excessive gullibility, a tendency to rescue others, a sense of shame, the inability to say no, and painful empathy are reactivated. With the onset of the Serpentine era, they have a unique opportunity in front of them to change their lives for the better. It is important not to miss this chance, leaving behind excessive pity and focusing on their own interests. May luck accompany them on this path. Goodbye.